Hello friends. I can see 80% of my viewers don't subscribe while watching videos. Please hit the subscribe button and like this video. Press that bell icon for notifications. And tell me in the comments from which city you are watching this video. My name is Eva Caraway, and this is my story. They say that some moments change everything. That single phone call, that devastating betrayal. It shattered my world in ways I never imagined possible. But from those broken pieces, I built something magnificent. Have you ever had your heart ripped out and stomped on by someone who was supposed to be family? Have you ever felt so small, so insignificant, that you wondered if you even mattered at all? That was me, 5 years ago. But this is not a story about staying down. This is a story about rising up. When I got engaged to the love of my life, Marcus, the first thing on my mind was not the dress, not the flowers, not even the guest list. It was the venue. You see, I had been dreaming about one specific place since I was 16 years old. The little reception hall by Lake Arliss. It was not the fanciest place in town. It was not dripping with crystal chandeliers or marble floors. But it had something that took my breath away every single time I drove past it. Floor-to-ceiling windows that looked out over the shimmering water. Especially at sunset when the sky painted the lake in shades of gold and crimson. I remember the first time I saw a wedding there as a teenager. I was driving home from my part-time job at the local bookstore when I spotted the celebration through those magnificent windows. The bride was dancing with her father, and the light streaming through the glass made her look like an angel. In that moment, I made a promise to myself. Someday that would be me. Someday, I would dance in that very spot. Someday, I would say my vows looking out at that perfect view. So when Marcus proposed on a crisp October evening, getting that venue was not just my first priority. It was my only priority. I called the very next morning, my hands shaking with excitement as I dialed the number I had memorized years ago. Arliss Reception Hall, this is Margaret speaking. Hi, I would like to book the hall for a wedding, I said, my voice barely containing my joy. Wonderful. When are you thinking? June 15th of next year. There was a pause. Let me check our calendar. Another pause. You are in luck, dear. That date is available. Would you like to put down a deposit? I nearly cried right there on the phone. Yes, absolutely. Within an hour I had driven to the hall, signed the contract, and put down the full deposit. Margaret, the sweet elderly woman who managed the bookings, gave me a tour even though I could have walked through that place blindfolded. You have excellent taste, she said as we stood in front of those breathtaking windows. This view never gets old. I pressed my hand against the glass, watching the afternoon sun dance across the water. I have been dreaming of this moment for 8 years. Margaret smiled warmly. Well then, it sounds like dreams do come true. For the next 10 months, I planned every detail of that wedding. I chose flowers that would complement the natural beauty of the lake view. I selected a color scheme that would look stunning against those windows. I even had my dress tailored to catch the light in a specific way. Every decision revolved around that hall. Every dream centered on those windows. Every prayer thanked God for that perfect venue. But 2 months before the wedding, my world collapsed. I was at work, reviewing contracts at the real estate office where I worked as a junior agent, when my phone rang. The caller ID showed the number for Arliss Reception Hall. Hello, Eva? This is Margaret. Something in her tone made my stomach drop. Hi, Margaret. Is everything okay? I am afraid I have some very difficult news. Her voice was strained, like she was forcing herself to speak. Your reservation for June 15th has been cancelled. The words hit me like a physical blow. Cancelled? What do you mean cancelled? I am so sorry, dear. The owners have decided to go in a different direction for that date. But I have a contract. I paid the full deposit. I know. This is highly irregular. But they are claiming there was an administrative error in our booking system. My hands started shaking. What kind of administrative error? They are saying that date was already reserved by someone else, and our system failed to show it. That is impossible. You checked right in front of me. You told me it was available. Margaret sighed heavily. Eva, I am as confused as you are. I have been managing this place for 15 years, and I have never seen anything like this. What about my deposit? Another pause. They are saying that since it was an administrative error, they cannot process a refund. The phone nearly slipped from my trembling fingers. They cannot do this. This is fraud. I wish I could help you, dear. I truly do. But the decision comes from the owners, and they have made it clear this is final. I hung up the phone and immediately called Marcus. Through my tears, I told him what had happened. He was furious, ready to drive over there and demand answers. But I needed to understand what was really going on. So I did what any desperate bride would do. I called every contact I had, asked every favor I could think of, and dug until I found the truth. And when I found it, it destroyed me. The truth came from Janet, a photographer who had worked dozens of weddings at the hall. She called me back 3 days after my world fell apart. Eva, I heard about what happened to your booking. I think you need to know something. What is it? I just got hired to shoot a wedding at Arliss on June 15th. My blood turned to ice. What? The bride? Her name is Sabrina. Sabrina Chun. My future sister-in-law. Marcus's sister. The woman who was supposed to be my family. I could not speak. I could not breathe. I could not think. Eva? Are you there? How did she get my date? From what I understand, her family made a very generous offer to the owners. Apparently, they convinced them that there had been some kind of booking error. I hung up and immediately drove to Marcus's family home. I needed answers, and I needed them now. Sabrina was in the backyard, planning her engagement party with her fiancé, Kingston. She looked up when she saw me approaching, and the smile on her face was anything but innocent. Eva, how lovely to see you. We need to talk. She glanced at Kingston, then back at me. About what? About June 15th. Her smile widened. Oh, you heard. I am so excited about the venue. The hall by Lake Arliss is going to be absolutely perfect. That was my venue, Sabrina. She tilted her head, feigning confusion. Your venue? I do not understand. I booked that hall 10 months ago. I had a contract. I paid a deposit. Oh, that. She waved her hand dismissively. There was some kind of mix-up with their booking system. Apparently, I had actually reserved that date first, but their computers did not show it properly. That is a lie, and you know it. Sabrina stepped closer, her voice dropping to a whisper. Prove it. I stared at her, seeing clearly for the first time the person she really was. This was not a mix-up. This was not a computer error. This was deliberate, calculated theft. Why? I asked, my voice barely audible. Why would you do this to me? She shrugged. Maybe because you are not as special as you think you are, Eva. Maybe because some of us deserve better things than others. She paused, letting her words sink in like poison. Sorry, Eva. Maybe you will find someplace smaller. That night, I cried harder than I had ever cried in my life. But somewhere between the tears and the heartbreak, something inside me changed. Something hardened. Something grew cold and determined. It was not just about a hall anymore. It was about being treated like I was nothing. Like I was disposable. Like my dreams did not matter because I was not important enough to protect them. But they were wrong about me. Dead wrong. Marcus was ready to confront his family, ready to demand they make this right. But I stopped him. I had a better idea. We are going to have the most beautiful wedding anyone has ever seen. I told him through my tears. But where? Every decent venue is booked this close to the date. Leave that to me. I spent the next week driving through the countryside around our town, looking for something different. Something that would be even more magical than that hall could ever be. And then I found it. A meadow on the outskirts of town, surrounded by old oak trees and wildflowers. It was owned by an elderly farmer named Walter who had been thinking about renting it out for events. It is not fancy, he warned me as we walked through the tall grass. It is perfect, I breathed. We transformed that meadow into something from a fairy tale. We strung thousands of twinkling lights through the oak branches. We brought in vintage hay bales for seating. We built a rustic altar facing the sunset. We scattered wildflower petals down a grass aisle. On June 15th, as Sabrina was getting married in her stolen venue. I was saying my vows under a canopy of stars and fairy lights. Our wedding photographer captured moments so magical that they looked like they belonged in a dream. Our guests could not stop talking about how unique and beautiful everything was. Several couples asked for Walter's contact information because they wanted to book the meadow for their own weddings. It was not what I had planned. It was better. But I was not done with Sabrina. Not even close. You see, what she did not know was that her betrayal had awakened something in me. A hunger. A drive. A determination to never let anyone make me feel powerless again. Over the next few years, I threw myself into my career with an intensity that surprised everyone, including me. I studied every aspect of real estate, from residential sales to commercial development. I worked 16-hour days. I took every difficult client, every impossible listing, every project that other agents would not touch. I specialized in properties that others considered lost causes, buildings that needed extensive renovation, lots that seemed too small or too oddly shaped, venues that had fallen into disrepair. And I made them magnificent. My reputation grew. My client list expanded. My bank account flourished. But through it all, I had one specific goal. One target that drove every decision I made. 3 years after my wedding, I got the call I had been waiting for. Eva, this is Jonathan from Lakeside Properties. We have a property that just came on the market that might interest you. What kind of property? It is the old reception hall by Lake Arliss. The owners are looking to sell. My heart stopped. What condition is it in? Pretty rough, to be honest. It has been closed for 6 months due to structural issues. The roof leaks, the floors are warped, and the kitchen needs a complete overhaul. Most investors have passed on it. What are they asking? He named a price that was surprisingly reasonable, considering the lakefront location. I want to see it. Eva, I should warn you. This would be a massive undertaking. The amount of work needed to bring it up to code would be enormous. When can we meet there? 2 hours later, I stood in the hall where my dreams had been stolen. It was a shell of its former self. Water damage had stained the walls. The beautiful hardwood floors were buckled and ruined. Those magnificent windows were cloudy and cracked. But as I stood there, I could see something else. I could see possibility. I could see my future. I will take it. Jonathan stared at me. Do not you want to have it inspected first? Get contractor estimates. I said I will take it. The purchase took 6 weeks to finalize. During that time, I had architectural plans drawn up, contractor bids collected, and financing arranged. This was not going to be just a renovation. This was going to be a complete transformation. I was not just buying a building. I was buying my revenge. The construction took 18 months and cost 3 times my original budget. But every dollar was worth it. I gutted the entire interior and rebuilt it from the ground up. I restored those floor-to-ceiling windows to crystal clarity. I installed the most advanced sound system, the most elegant lighting, and the most luxurious amenities. But it was not going to be just a reception hall anymore. I turned it into the Arliss Hotel and Spa, a boutique lakeside retreat that would cater to couples seeking the most exclusive, most romantic, most unforgettable wedding experience imaginable. The main hall became the crown jewel, with those restored windows providing the most spectacular view in the region. But I also added intimate ceremony spaces, bridal suites, a world-class spa, and guest accommodations that overlooked the lake. The grand opening was featured in 3 wedding magazines and 2 luxury travel publications. Within 6 months, we were booking weddings 2 years in advance. Within a year, we had a waiting list. The Arliss Hotel and Spa became the most sought-after wedding destination in the entire state. And then, exactly 4 years after she stole my venue, Sabrina called. Hello, this is Sabrina Kingston. I would like to inquire about booking your venue for an event. I recognized her voice immediately, but she clearly had no idea who she was talking to. What type of event? I asked, keeping my voice professionally neutral. It is for my anniversary party. My husband and I were married 4 years ago, and we want to celebrate at the most beautiful venue in the area. Everyone says your place is absolutely stunning. When are you looking to have this event? June 15th. It is our anniversary date. The irony was so perfect it took my breath away. Let me check our availability. I pretended to look at a calendar. You are in luck. We have that date available. Wonderful. Could I schedule a tour? Of course. How about tomorrow afternoon? The next day, I watched from my office window as Sabrina and Kingston pulled into our circular drive. She stepped out of their luxury car, craning her neck to take in the full grandeur of what I had built. The building was stunning. I had made sure of that. The original structure had been completely transformed into something that looked like it belonged in a European resort. Elegant stonework, perfectly manicured gardens, and those magnificent windows that now sparkled like jewels. I met them in the main lobby, which featured a soaring ceiling, a grand staircase, and fresh flowers arranged in crystal vases. Mr. and Mrs. Kingston? I am the owner. Welcome to the Arliss Hotel and Spa. Sabrina looked directly at me, but showed no recognition whatsoever. Why would she? The last time she had seen me, I was a broken, tearful girl begging for answers. Now I was an elegant, successful businesswoman wearing a designer suit and radiating confidence. This place is absolutely breathtaking, Sabrina gushed. I had no idea it existed until recently. We have been getting quite a bit of attention lately, I said smoothly. Shall we start the tour? I led them through every space, watching Sabrina fall in love with what I had created. The main hall took her breath away, just as I knew it would. Oh my goodness, she whispered, walking toward those floor-to-ceiling windows. This view is perfect. Many couples find it quite romantic, I agreed. She turned to Kingston. Honey, we absolutely must have our party here. This is exactly what I have been dreaming of. As we continued the tour, Sabrina kept raving about the attention to detail, the luxurious amenities, the impeccable service standards. She asked about catering options, photography policies, and decoration guidelines. I have to ask, she said as we finished the tour back in the lobby, how did you come to own such an incredible property? I smiled, savoring the moment I had been planning for years. It is actually quite an interesting story. This building has a very personal history for me. Really? How so? Well, several years ago, I had my heart set on getting married in the old reception hall that used to be here. I had booked it, paid my deposit, planned my entire wedding around it. Sabrina's expression started to change as recognition began to dawn. But then just 2 months before my wedding, someone else wanted my date. They convinced the owners to cancel my booking and give them the venue instead. The color drained from Sabrina's face. I was devastated, heartbroken. I felt so small, so powerless, so disposable. I stepped closer, my voice remaining perfectly calm and professional. But you know what they say about setbacks, do you not? Sometimes they are actually setups for something much bigger. Sabrina's mouth opened, but no words came out. The person who stole my venue thought they were taking something from me. What they actually did was motivate me to build something far more magnificent than what they had stolen. I handed her the information packet I had prepared, complete with pricing, policies, and stunning photographs of recent weddings. Funny thing, Sabrina. You have been here before. You just did not realize you were standing in my future. She stared at the packet in her hands, then looked around the lobby with new eyes. Eva. Hello, Sabrina. The silence stretched between us like a chasm. Kingston looked confused, clearly not understanding the tension that had suddenly filled the room. I had no idea. Of course you did not. Why would you? You took what you wanted and never gave me another thought. Sabrina's hands were shaking now. Eva, about what happened back then. What about it? I am sorry. I was young and selfish, and I did not think about how much I was hurting you. I nodded thoughtfully. You are absolutely right. You did not think about me at all. She winced at the truth of it. But I want you to know something, Sabrina. I am genuinely grateful for what you did. She looked up, surprised. If you had not stolen my venue, I never would have discovered that meadow where Marcus and I actually got married. It was magical. More beautiful than this place could ever have been. I gestured around the elegant lobby. And if you had not betrayed me, I never would have found the motivation to build all of this. I never would have discovered what I was truly capable of achieving. Sabrina was crying now, quiet tears streaming down her cheeks. So thank you. Thank you for showing me exactly who you were. Thank you for teaching me that I could not depend on other people to make my dreams come true. Thank you for forcing me to become strong enough to build my own empire. I walked toward the door, then paused and looked back. Oh, and about your anniversary party? We would be delighted to host it. The date is available, and I will personally oversee every detail to make sure it is absolutely perfect. Eva, I do not think. Nonsense. You wanted the most beautiful venue in the area, and you found it. The fact that you will be celebrating in a place that exists because of what you did to me? Well, that is just poetry, is it not? Over the next few weeks, Sabrina tried several times to cancel the booking. But Kingston loved the venue and could not understand why she wanted to change plans. He insisted they move forward with the party at the Arliss. The night of their anniversary celebration, I made sure everything was absolutely flawless. The flowers were perfect. The food was exceptional. The service was impeccable. The photography was stunning. And every single photo from that night would forever show Sabrina celebrating in the empire I built from her betrayal. As the evening wound down, she approached me one final time. Eva, I need you to know how sorry I am. What I did was unforgivable. I looked at her for a long moment. This woman who had once made me feel so small. Sabrina, I forgave you years ago. Not for your sake, but for mine. Carrying anger would have poisoned everything I built. Then why? Why did I buy this place? Why did I turn it into something that would remind you of what you did every time you see it? She nodded. Because forgiveness does not mean there are no consequences. It just means I am not going to let those consequences destroy me. I smiled, the same smile I had given her that day in her backyard when she told me to find someplace smaller. You see, the beautiful thing about success, Sabrina, is that it speaks louder than any words ever could. Today, 5 years later, the Arliss Hotel and Spa is booked solid 3 years in advance. We have hosted celebrities, politicians, and royalty. We have been featured in countless publications and won numerous awards. But my favorite part is not the accolades or the profit margins. My favorite part is that Sabrina drives past my hotel every single day on her way to work. Every morning and every evening, she has to see the towering success that rose from the ashes of her cruelty. Every time she and Kingston want to impress clients or celebrate a special occasion, they book events at my hotel. Because in our area, there simply is not anywhere else that compares. Every payment they make goes directly into my bank account. Every compliment they receive about the venue is a testament to my vision and my work. Every photograph they take in my spaces becomes a permanent reminder of the empire they helped me create. Marcus often asks me if I ever regret the path that led us here. If I ever wish things had happened differently. And my answer is always the same. I would not change a single thing. That broken girl who cried over a stolen wedding venue needed to learn that she was stronger than she ever imagined. That betrayed bride needed to discover that she could build something far more magnificent than anything anyone could ever take from her. That young woman who felt disposable needed to realize that she was absolutely irreplaceable. Some people are born knowing their own power. Others have to discover it through fire. Sabrina lit the match that started my fire. But I am the one who chose to let it forge me into steel instead of reducing me to ash. Every morning when I walk through the doors of the Arliss Hotel and Spa, I am reminded that our greatest triumphs often begin with our deepest wounds. That our most beautiful creations can emerge from our most painful destructions. And every night when I lock up this empire I built, I whisper a quiet thank you to that girl who thought she could make me smaller. She was wrong. So beautifully, completely wrong. Today, couples book my venue years in advance just to have their wedding photos taken in front of those same floor-to-ceiling windows where I once stood as a heartbroken bride-to-be. Those windows now bear a small plaque that reads, "Dreams realized through determination, see." The initials stand for Eva Caraway. But they could just as easily stand for extraordinary comeback. Because that is exactly what this is. This is my comeback story. This is my love letter to everyone who has ever been told they were not good enough, not important enough, not worthy enough. This is proof that sometimes the best revenge is not getting even. Sometimes the best revenge is getting everything. If this story inspired you to never give up on your dreams, please subscribe to our channel for more incredible true stories of triumph over betrayal. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an update, and remember, your setback might just be the setup for your greatest comeback yet.